Hey, what's going on out there? I'm Sean Devine. Today I've got a new tutorial for you all. It's on multi-band compression. This is by request. Before I jump into that, I just want to thank you all for your support of the channel. We just crossed 10,000 subscribers, which may not seem like a lot, but I feel like it was at like 2,000 not long ago. So I really appreciate that. That means that it's helpful for y'all and y'all are sharing the videos, which is helpful for me in growing the channel and continuing to provide the content for you. So anyways, let's jump right into it. I've got a session open right now, and I want to talk about the differences between multiband compression and standard compression, and then we're going to actually use this multiband compression in action on our master bus. We're going to talk about the different functions of a multiband compressor, why you would use it, where you would use it, where it's best suited in your mixes, and we'll just go ahead and get you comfortable with that. Now, if you're not familiar or comfortable with compression itself, you're still kind of getting a feel for compression, I would, it's okay, watch the video, but put it in your bag of tricks and save it for later, because you definitely want to have a general understanding of compression, because all a multi-band compressor is multiple compressors where you can control them according to the frequency. So right now I have the multipressor open, which is the stock multi-band compressor in Logic Pro X. So you're going to see those bands that I was talking about. You're able to separate the signal by frequency band, and then you have a compressor for each of these respective bands. So this is really powerful because let's say you have a drum bus where maybe your kick drum is the bass is just too loud. You know, the low frequencies, you want to kind of compress them a little bit, but you don't want to compress the hi-hat and the snare as well. Same thing with vocals. Let's say you've got some really harsh mids that are kind of peaking in your signal. If you just put a standard compressor on it, it's going to compress the lows and the highs as well. So you don't have that control over frequency band. A master bus would be a good example of where, you know, if you put a compressor just on your master bus to try to keep everything in check, you may end up affecting the vocal when you really just needed to tame some of that low end, maybe an 808, maybe a kick drum, without it affecting your vocals and your mid and high frequencies. So very, very powerful stuff for using a multi-band compressor. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of the various functions of the multi-band compressor. It's built, again, just like a compressor. You have a threshold control, you have your ratio, you have peak RMS. Don't worry about this control right now. This is just specifically on the multipressor, but we're not going to use that today. We've also got the attack and release. Again, and we're not going to be messing with expansion. We're doing compression today, but just know that down here, this is a expansion option that you can use with the multipressor as well. But again, let's go up and let's start working with the compression. So let me just play back what I've got here, and I have the multipressor, all of the bands on bypass, so it's not doing anything right now.
And I see why, I see why, I see why. Oh, you and I connect like we were made for each other. Yeah, I think you might be that one woman designed by the creator, exclusively for me, for you, for we. Fit together like we tailored, made to measure. Intellect with a sense of style. Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development. Grace upon grace, your style is so elegant.
All right, so over here, this is my master bus, and I assume that a lot of you out there who maybe are a little bit new to mixing, I see a lot of sessions where people will just put a standard compressor on the master bus. So just to demonstrate what happens here and why we're going to use multi-band compression instead, let me just turn on the SSL comp, which is, again, it's just a standard single bus compressor. And I'm just going to turn it on. I'm going to let you hear what it does. So this is without.
Oh, girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development.
And on.
Oh, girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development. Grace upon grace, your style is so elegant. The way that you move through this room.
Now, obviously, that's a little extreme, but you can hear a lot of pumping going on. This is the preset that comes up on the G comp. So you can just hear it's not pleasant, and it's killing my transients of my kick and my snare drum, especially because those are the loudest elements. So right there, that's not going to work, right? So let's turn that off and let's go over to our multi-presser. Now, just to demonstrate, let's just say that we want to kind of put a little bit of compression on the kick drum and the bass frequencies. So let me go ahead and we're just going to hit solo. And you can move that to wherever you want the cutoff to be. So I'm going to go ahead and just put it at around 120. So this is just going to be our lowest kind of sub frequencies. And I just want a little bit of glue down there. So we're going to turn the threshold up. Now, if it's at 0, this means that it's not going to be compressing at all.
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon.
Because that band down there, this is just showing us what's happening here. That's not getting even close to 0. We're more at like -5 dB, -6 maybe. So until I pull the threshold down to that point, it's not going to be doing any compression. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull that down, and you'll watch up here, you'll see some gain reduction.
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon grace. Your style is so elegant. The way that you move through this room, definition of eloquence.
All right, so let me solo that.
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon grace. Your style is so elegant. The way that you move.
So it's just providing some glue down there. But let me go ahead and let's just say we want to adjust the attack time a little bit.
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon grace. Your style is so elegant. The way that you move through this room, definition of eloquence. Yeah, the talk is so smooth, but you want the next.
So what I've done is I've set a really quick attack time because I want it to just grab that kick drum that's poking through really quickly, and then have enough time just to give it some glue to the sub bass. So
girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon grace. Your style is so.
now again, we can adjust our ratios up here just like a normal compressor. If you want to mess with that setting, you can. Sounds pretty good right here, but let's just say we want to do a little bit less compression. So I'll turn it down to maybe like 1.9 on the ratio.
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon.
All right, so let's move on and say that for all you artists who are recording, let's say your vocals are a little bit harsh in the mid sections. Now you could just put a multiband compressor on the vocal track itself, but let's just say that you wanted to try and tame some of that on the master. You are going to affect, some things that are happening in the instrumental, but again, we've got a lot more control because we can narrow our bands and affect only the frequencies we want to. So let's just say that, again, the mids overall on the track and the vocals specifically are a little bit harsh. So we're going to go up here and let's just say from about 1K to 5K. So this is band 3. So that's over here. I'm going to solo that. Let me turn the threshold up real quick.
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon grace. Your style is so elegant. The way that you move through this room, definition of eloquence. Yeah.
So you can see when I pull it down too low,
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you.
That's just too much.
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon grace. Your style is so elegant. The way that you move through this room, definition of eloquence.
So I'm going to adjust the attack just so it's not killing my snare so much.
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon grace. Your style is so elegant. The way that you move through this room, definition of eloquence. Yeah, the talk is so smooth, but you want the next level. Just look for the evidence
and with
in the fruit they produce. We are not our own truth. You and I, girl, we set a new precedence. Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon grace. Your style is so elegant.
So just smooth out those mids a little bit.
Girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development grace upon grace. Your style is so elegant.
Same thing with the highs. Let's just go up here and let's say that we want to compress our high frequencies a little bit. This is going to be, again, from 5K up all the way to 20K. So we'll just turn this one on.
Oh, girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development. Grace upon grace, your style is so elegant. The way that you move through this room, definition of eloquence.
So you just adjust the attack and release to taste. You can hear if your release time is too quick or too slow, it will give you, less or more of a pumping kind of effect. So you want to kind of play with that, figure out where you feel best about it.
Oh, girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development. Grace upon grace, your style is so elegant. The way that you move through this room, definition of eloquence. Yeah, the talking so smooth, but you want the next level. Just look for the evidence.
So we're just kissing it, that snare drum and some of those hi-hats.
Oh, girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I build you behind the development. Grace upon grace, your style is so elegant. The way that you move through this room, definition of eloquence. Yeah, the talking so smooth, but you want the next level. Just
all right, so that's working with a couple of the different bands with multi-band compression. Hope this gives you a better idea of just how to use it and why it's so powerful. Again, if you have a vocal or you have something specifically in a mix that you need to compress, but you don't want to affect the other elements of your mix that don't need to be compressed, then you don't want to use just a standard compressor on your master bus or your drum bus or your vocal bus. You can really hone in on what the problem areas are with multiband compression and use it to doctor those specific areas. Let me show you one thing real quick for the master, the actual master of this track. I just used a C4, which the C4 it's really a multiband compressor. They call it a parametric processor. Very similar concept. You have your threshold, attack, release. So on the actual master of this track, all I did was, again, I needed to glue that low end. So we just glued it from 120 below, and we have just a little bit of compression down there.
oh, girl, you fly like sawdust off a skill saw as I the way that you.
So it just makes that kick a little smoother and prevents some heavy clipping that may be going on whenever the kick and the sub are hitting at the same time. So again, just to give you an idea of what I did, very similar to what we were doing over here on the multipressor. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. If you learned anything, please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.